Holy cannoles! It's season 7 of the Ripple Effect podcast with yours truly, this guy. Come along for the ride. All right, guys. Hey, welcome to a brand new season, a brand new year, but brand new season of the Ripple Effect podcast with yours truly, Steve Harper. Thanks for joining me. I am excited to be launching this new season of Rippling. There is so much that has gone on over the last year, and there is so much that I have planned for the upcoming year that it's hard to encapsulate it all into a short podcast, which really, quite honestly, is probably not all that interesting for you to listen to anyway, because it's not your life, it's my life. And you're like, hey, why do I care what you got going on, Steve? I got my own stuff that I dealt with in 21, and I got my own big vision plans for 2022. But, I did want to acknowledge a few things, right? 2021 was not the year that we all thought it was going to be. We thought, man, 2020, oh my God, let's get the hell out of there. Thank you, COVID, go the hell away. And we were like, I think we were close, right? Come like February, March, we were all thinking, okay, we might have this sucker licked. And of course, as we finished up the year, we know that we don't have it licked. There's another new variant that is sweeping the world and putting countries and communities in kind of a state of panic as we go into the new year. School districts are having to reconsider whether they go back to in-person classes. Universities are doing the same. There are certain communities that are taking this new variant of COVID a little bit more serious than others. And no judgment, right? But, my good friend, Dr. Asha Prasad, who is my guest host on Conversations with Asha and Steve, another podcast that I do. I know her country is in lockdown until the 14th of January, which happens to be my birthday. So I feel like if they get out of COVID, or get out of quarantine or lockdown, not quarantine, lockdown, it's kind of like, my extended birthday present to her community. But it has been weird, right? And what I've actually found over the course of the past year is that people were very adaptable. I thought that a lot of the people that I've been encountering through Ripple or through my other companies, we were just rolling with the punches, right? And I know all of us have this pandemic fatigue, and it's been a big issue, and a lot of people are reconsidering what their life choices are, whether it be mask, no mask, whether we're traveling, we're not traveling. It's been a lot of pressure for a lot of people. And for others, they've just kind of gone on and said, hey, this is what we're going to deal with. Again, I have zero judgment on any level, right, about this. You have to do what's right for you. As long as you're not endangering me or my family, then, you go with God, my friend, and do whatever is necessary. But I had this sense of sort of interesting attitudes, that were being sort of pervaded as we went through the month of December, as we headed to the end of the year, and then we looked at what our new year is going to consist of, right? 2022, it's like people are like, how should I feel about this, right? Should I be optimistic? Should I be encouraged? Should I be fearful? Like I said, you've got different communities and different organizations that are shifting policies going into the new year because of COVID. And it's a concern, right? And for me as a business owner, it's a concern as well. What's this going to do to my prospects, my opportunities, my big plans for 2022 to be my breakout year? This is it. This is going to be it. This is the horse that I'm backing, right? And yet, things are a little bit weird, right? Well, here we are. I'm recording this on the second day of January, and you guys are going to hear it at some point this week. But I know that there is a lot of uncertainty still, which I never really thought that I would be having this conversation either with myself or with you, that we would still be in a state of uncertainty, but we are. And it's a bit of a challenge for a lot of people to be enthusiastic, optimistic, and motivated and inspired for the new year. So I know that that's a challenge, right? But what I would say to you at this juncture is that this may be and probably likely going to be something that we're going to deal with for a very long time, right? So we know that that's the issue. So let's put that sucker in the corner for right now and start looking at and thinking about what are we going to do with the upcoming year. And how are we going to adapt and continue to adjust, but make progress on the things that are important to us? And I highly recommend that you kind of take a look at that and you evaluate it. A couple of episodes back, we did an episode on, well, I don't think we did it on the podcast. I can't remember, honestly, if we did it as a podcast episode or it's just an independent video, but we did, Mark Schwartz and I did a video on the Great Resignation, right? You're seeing this trend of individuals that are saying, look, corporate America, I am out of here. I don't want to deal with this, whether it be because I agree with your COVID policies or don't agree with your COVID policies, or, this has given me a pregnant pause in my career path and made me realize that I need to, or I'm destined for bigger and better things. And so that is the direction I am headed. So I see you later. Send me my check to this P.O. box or this address. And that has put a great bit of anxiety for corporate America. It's, for the leaders of these major corporations, they're starting to see people exit out the back door, take off, go bye, bye. And what are they going to do to adapt? You look at the numbers, right? Just looking at the job numbers, we have more jobs than people looking for jobs. And I guess that is interesting because we're not having this connection, right? The unemployment number, is still something to pay attention to. But at the end of the day, there are more people that are not working by choice than they are because they got laid off or fired. And it's weird, and it's an interesting conundrum for the business leaders out there to deal with as they go into 2022. And I'm curious how and what it's done to you as an individual. Has it made you reconsider your career choices? It made you rethink, what you're doing for a living, who you're doing it for. I'm curious. I'd love to know in your comments, or shoot me an email, steve@ripplecentral.com. Let me know what you're thinking. I would love to be, in the know beyond people like myself and in my bubble, right? So kind of curious about that. But if you go back and watch that episode with Mark and you can find it on YouTube. Again, I apologize if we put it up on the podcast. I had so much going on in December that I can't honestly say that we did, but I would encourage you to go back and watch that video and then give some thoughts and your ideas and impressions of what Mark and I talked about. You're like, hey, who's Mark? Mark Schwartz actually is a good friend of mine who has longtime friend, but he's also my editor of my book, The Ripple Effect: Maximizing the Power of Relationships for Your Life and Business. He's going to be working on a new book that is coming out in 2022. I have said it. There it is. It's coming out. It's got to come out. I've been working on it for about a month and a half, really focused on some stuff, but he'll be doing the editing on that. But I took the bull by the horns this year and I said, look, Mark, you are too smart and too big of an asset to continue to just use in this capacity. So we brought him on to my software company where he is focused on helping out build out our education space and grow that business environment for my two software companies that are focused on school districts and the construction space in general. But he's going to be helping us grow that school business because he's been in that business for a long time. And he had expertise and experience that I knew that we needed. We needed to have it on board. And I'm super thrilled and excited to have him working with me side by side, day to day. We get to switch between our software conversations and Ripple conversations, just on a dime. And I love that because it's going to allow us to do some great big things in 2022, I think. So anyway, go back and check out that episode. Let me know your thoughts. I would love to hear them. Did we hit it on the head? Did we add more confusion? Did we leave you going, what are those guys talking about? Which is very possible. I mean, quite honestly, that's how we sometimes roll. I'm just going to put it out there. So 2022 is upon us, right? Second day of January. I'm in the studio on a Sunday recording this because why? Because I wanted to get some conversation started about something. and I wasn't exactly sure what. I've had a few people ask me, what did I go through last year to sort of evaluate where I was as an entrepreneur and as a business owner. And I mentioned Mark, right? Strategic hire there, but I also made another strategic alliance. I won't call it a hire because she's an independent contractor until I can talk her into probably joining us full time. But Cynthia Berg has joined me on the on all levels of the company, right? She's working on Ripple. She's going to be working on our software companies, but she's really helping me put more emphasis and focus on some new programs and new things that we're going to bring out to the Ripple community. And a goal is to expand that audience and grow it. And one of the things that I recognized, I think, in 21 that I have decided, 22, I'm not going to let this be hold me back, is that I'm going to focus on the things that I do really well. And I'm going to ask other people that do the other things that I don't do well. I'm going to delegate those things to people that can get it done quicker and more efficiently than I ever thought possible. Cynthia joined me the first part of December, and she is blowing my mind with everything that she's bringing to the table. Different approaches that we're going to take in this, what I'm calling Ripple 2.0 sort of launch. And so over the course of the next, I would say 30, 60 days, you're going to hear from me on new programs and new offerings and really new ways for you to get involved and engaged in the Ripple community and to build that alliance and that approach. And that's something I feel like I got a shot in the arm, right? And I guess probably for a period of time, and even though I launched the third edition of the book last year, it really didn't take off like I had hoped because I think a lot of people were like, COVID, and we're unmotivated, uninspired, we're uncertain, blah, blah, blah. And I didn't put a lot of fanfare into it. I didn't put a lot of efforts towards, hey, you need to get this edition, but I will now. You need to get the edition, the third edition of The Ripple Effect, Maximizing the Power of Relationships for Your Life and Business, now available on Audible. If you happen to enjoy this voice, this sultry, sexy voice, you can have me read this to you like a very, very awesome bedtime story on Audible. Just look for the third edition, The Ripple Effect, Maximizing the Power of Relationships for Your Life and Business by yours truly, Steve Harper. And it is available there. It's also available on Kindle and e-readers across the board. For some reason, we never finished putting it up on Apple Books, but I don't know how many people use Apple Books. Could you tell me? Do you use Apple Books anymore? I don't even know. I don't. And so therefore put no time, energy, or effort to get there. However, you can find the book on Amazon and get hard copy or go to my website, which right now is ripplecentral.com. And you can go to the store, pick up your copy, tell me in the notes, hey, I want this autographed. I want to be able to sell it down the road. So don't put my name or any personalization, but just, sign Ripple on or whatever. The book might one day be so valuable that it'll be like the number one issue of the Spider-Man comic, right? People could be like at, Christie's, being like, hey, I will bid $10,000. And somebody else will say, 10,005. And somebody else will go, I do $12,000. And then from there, it could go to 100,000. Who knows? The potential is unlimited, right? And you will think back fondly as you sit on the sidelines of the Christie's auction and go like, I am so glad I bought that book from Steve instead of Amazon. No offense to Amazon, but they don't let me sign the books there. So you bought it from ripplecentral.com. You got an opportunity to get a signature. You got my moniker. And next thing you know, 20 years from now, you're like, you're buying a penthouse because of the money that the Ripple brought to you. Talk about an ROI. Talk about a return on investment. Why'd I go there? I have no idea. I'm just saying you should buy the book, ripplecentral.com. Third edition, jam-packed with new content, new stories, and most importantly, how to ripple if this damn pandemic continues. How to keep building those relationships, growing those relationships in a weird, challenging time like this is, right? So there you go. There's a plug. But the point being is I didn't do much of that last year. I might have said some things on a podcast and might have equated it to begging you to buy the book, but I didn't really do that. But why am I passionate about this third edition and why am I bringing it up? Why? Because I know it's a tool and a resource to help those of you that want to build the right kinds of connections, to first identify who those are and to really help you get some ideas and strategies to really build those relationships in the way that really fulfill you and support you. And this entire concept of Ripple is something that I am ready to put onto steroids. I'm going to dump gasoline on this small flame and watch it go. If you're not seeing this on video, I'm pretending that I have flames billowing out of my head. Uh, Clearly, I had some caffeine today, which is very odd for me at 12:30 in the afternoon to be doing this. But nevertheless, I am super hyped. Anyway, how does this all relate to to Mark, to Cynthia? I'm bringing the people in that can help me get to where I want to go, where I envision and see things. Cynthia specifically is really a big and loyal Rippler, and she is totally bought into the concept, the identity of behind this process. And there honestly is so much more that we can do with this. We are talking new. Well, I don't even want to let the cat out of the bag. You're going to have to pay attention to what we do over the next few months because you're going to want to get involved. You're going to want to be a part of this community. You're going to want to be an engaged player in this community. And you're going to want to participate in some things that we've got coming up. Why? Because we are committed to making a difference. And the Ripple is very much that. It's about taking action. And the goal behind this is to help you find ways to take action to make a huge difference because those ripples, they ripple out, but they always ripple back to you. And I want to help impact your success. I want to help you impact your relationships. I want to help you, make sure that you're living the kind of life that you need to be living and doing the kind of work that you were destined to do. That's what I think 22 represents, right? And I'm very much a student as much as a teacher because I am following my own advice. I am eating my own dog food. That's a Microsoft thing. If you have no idea what that means, I apologize. But I don't really eat dog food. Don't freak out. It's okay. At the end of the day, I'm buying into what I am out there pitching and promoting and selling to you because I know it works. Look, guys, I am an entrepreneur running 3 companies today, and I'm not telling you this because I am a baller. Like you see these guys on Instagram. Hey, you want to make $100,000 a year? You follow my 3-step formula for doing so. I'm not that guy. Maybe sometimes I wish I was because if I could be that kind of hype and that kind of people, I'd have this massive following. People love it. And they'd be like, oh my God, every time Steve opens his mouth, it's just pearls of wisdom that are just putting dollars in my bank account. I can't promise that. I can honestly say I'm not going to promise that. But what I can say is I am an entrepreneur and I have attribute my success directly to this concept of the ripple. Everything that I have done out there in the world has been because of an action that I took that rippled out, but rippled back to me. And this concept is so powerful and so important that I just absolutely have to take it to the next level. I've got to up my game. I got to Michael Jordan this sucker and make this go. I'm looking for my 7th ring. Not really. Don't even have my 1st ring. But I digress. What I am saying is that I am about to up my game for Ripple because I believe so much in the concept. Where'd I go? Was I Canadian there? Concept. Hell, you know, like, hey, Canucks, you got the hockey pucks? Hey, Ozer. I shouldn't make fun of the Canadians. I'm not making fun of the Canadians, just to be clear, because my co-host on my other podcast, Inquiring Minds, is Miss Canada herself, Donna Carlin. I just don't know where I went with that pronunciation. Just went to Canada. I have no idea. Anyway, all I'm saying is I want to help people understand that their success and their value is dependent on their ability to get off the couch, make something happen, start building the types of connections that you need to make. And we're going to be doing some things to help you. Period. There it is. There it is. I've softly announced what's happening for me in 22. What about you? What's happening for you in 22? I'm curious. I want to know. Tell me. Leave a comment. Just share. And, if you're hearing this on a podcast platform, first of all, thank you for lending me your ears. Secondly, it's hard to comment on a podcast because, most of them don't do that. So drop me a line, steve@ripplescentral.com, or tweet me and go, Steve, I was listening to your podcast the other day. Everybody out there in Twitterville needs to be listening to Steve's podcast. That'd be awesome. Love that plug. Appreciate it. It might send you $5. I don't know. But tell me on that tweet, hey, I heard this on the podcast. I appreciate where you're coming from, what you're doing. And I'm in. I want to be part of the journey. So one thing I will share with you that we're doing, January 13th, we're going to have a limited list for this, but you got to drop me an email if you're interested. We're going to be doing the relaunch of the 8-Minute Ripple. The 8-Minute Ripple, for those of you that don't know, go to ripplecentral.com, look at the tab for 8-Minute Ripple. You're going to get a feel for it. But it's networking for non-networking people. And what it is designed to do is give people a totally different appreciation for the power of connecting with someone that you may or may not already know. And the goal behind it is for you to have an experience that will be like nothing you've ever seen before. What I mean by that is, at the end of the day, I want you to have a different appreciation for how to start a conversation, how to leverage the power of a question, and how to really get to know somebody in 8 minutes or less. Now, this isn't like 8-Minute Abs. I'm not going to tell you that you're going to find the best business connections you ever would have made in your entire life. In fact, we have rules at the 8-Minute Ripple. You can't talk about what you do for a living. You can't talk about anything that denotes status. Why? Because I need two people connecting without that pretense, without that judgment, without these stories that we tell ourselves in our own minds. And I want it done in a way that feels good. It leaves you feeling better for connecting and engaging with somebody. And who knows? The ripples that you make at that event, the connections that you make at that event may ripple out and ripple back to you in ways that you can't possibly know. We used to do these things live and in person, but now we're going to do it virtual. Why? Because this opens up a new environment. Now, I know people are like, I've already heard this from a few of my ripples. I'm so sick of Zoom. If I have to go to another online meeting, I might, I don't know. I'm going to do something very bad. We don't want you to do anything bad. If virtual is not your jam, no problem. Not a problem, my friend. It's okay. But here's the deal. Having and holding online events is a lot easier than it is to have in-person events. And I'm going to get back to live in-person events when things calm down a bit. And it isn't because I'm like, I have, some big, concerns about COVID. I'm out about doing my thing, right? I'm living my life. But at the end of the day, there are a lot of the people that do attend the live events that have concerns about seeing other people in a large environment, right? And I would never want to be a super spreader except for the ripple. If you could super spread the ripple, let's do that. I want to do that. That would be awesome. But I don't want to do that for COVID, right? COVID's not paying me. COVID is not on my payroll. COVID is not an investor in my future. Right? It is a detractor. It's a competitor to my future. So I don't want to promote it. I don't want to do that. That would not be good. That would be bad, right? But I do want to get the ripple like rippling out, right? So I want to be a super spreader for ripples. That would be awesome. But if somebody were to show up, I don't want to have to say, hey, did you get vaccinated? Do I have to do a temperature check? All this stuff, right? Just a layer of complexity I don't want to deal with. And so we're not going to do that. We're going to start off this year with some events for a lot of valuable reasons. One, to protect everybody. Two, because we can pull these events and not have any geographic boundaries, which means people on the West Coast, the people on the East Coast, people up north, people up down south, people in a house on a hill. As long as they got internet, you could ripple with us. And so January 13th, the day before my birthday, we're going to have our first 8-Minute Ripple event. So if you're interested, drop me a line, steve@ripplecentral.com. We're going to limit this because we're testing out some new technologies. We're testing out a new way to sort of deliver this process. But if you are lucky enough to get in, you are going to be blown away by the process of rippling because you're going to get to connect at a level that you don't ordinarily connect with anybody at any other event. Yes, it's true. You can't like fist bump and you can't high five and you can't give a ripple hug. We'll get there. We'll get back to those. And I promise you, we will be doing that. But I have had the 8-Minute Ripple in mothballs for far too long. People have been asking me about it for years. When are you going to do them? When are you going to do them again? Well, now that's what we're doing. That's my response. We are going to do them once a month starting in January. So drop me a line. To steve@ripplecentral.com. Either myself or Cynthia will get back to you about details on how to log in and get access. And those that attend in January are actually going to get a little sneak preview of some of the things that we're talking about that we're going to be adding to this Ripple community because that's the goal. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to build something significant here. So anyway, I kind of feel like that was a big download and a lot of different directions we went today. But it's a good one to kick off, right? At the end of the year or beginning of the year, but I wanted to share some of the things that have been top of mind. We're working on behind the scenes. You can't see it because there's like a magic curtain right here, but then there's some stuff going on that we're going We're going to launch it. You're going to be like, man, those that Ripple team is really kicking some butt, and they're going to do some things. We are going to do some things. We are bringing it. We're bringing our A game because I assembled the A team. If you don't know what the A team is, oh my God, what's wrong with you? But I have my A team. We're still have 2 slots open for other participants. We're still looking for I don't know, Face and BA Baracus maybe. I don't know, but we've got the right people helping me focus and put my time, energy, and attention on the right things so that I can grow in 22 across all boards, right? Across all levels, both Ripple as well as my software companies. So I'm pretty excited about that. Last thing I would like to throw out there. God, that sounded like I went to puberty right there. Last thing. Excuse me. I just hit 15. Anyway, the last thing I wanted to raise up for you before we dash off, right? This has been quick episode, but probably not for you. Anyway, the last thing I want you to think about is what risks are you willing to take in 22? What are you willing to do for yourself or for your work, for your career path, whatever it is? And what can the Ripple community potentially do to help you not only lean into that risk, but overcome some of the fear and trepidation that you might have for taking it? So I'm going to try and incorporate this into more episodes. People seem to really like it when I do these types of Ripple questions because they get you thinking and they get you feeling and they get you, starting to put words, using your big people words into how you might answer that. And I'm really, really curious. So again, leave it in the comments if you happen to be watching on YouTube. If your ears are guiding you through some sort of podcast platform, shoot me an email, steve@ripplecentral.com. Let me know what your answer is to that. What risk are you willing to take or focus on in 22 that you might need a little bit of Ripple help in order to do? Who knows? Maybe I can help. Maybe one of my community one of the Ripple community or my personal or professional network has the next steps. This actually, and I'm going to share with you something that happened right there at the end of the year. And a really good business colleague that reached out to me, who has utilized me as a coach, and she's facing a pretty major situation for her company. And she's like, I know this isn't exactly in your area, Steve, but I do have a very specific need. And I thought if I could just communicate it to you, I could share it with you, you might have some ideas and thoughts about what I should do to solve this problem. And so I listened. I was really respectful. I took some notes, because that's important, right? And, I sort of got a better understanding of her particular circumstances. And then I asked a bunch of questions, which I tend to do. I tend to probably annoyingly ask too many questions. But then it became very obvious to me that what she was looking for was a core set of expertise that another Rippler in my community has, another professional colleague, but these two people would never have met. And lo and behold, I said, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make this introduction. You guys are going to get together. I'm going to set the stage by sharing why you two need to know each other. And I will explain that you have this particular need, and I immediately thought of him as a possible solution to you, meaning her, not you, her. Anyway, boom, whole thing just blew up in the most positive way. That is what this risk factor thing that I'm asking you to consider really brings to the table. Because you never know when you share something who out there has the potential to help you ripple your way to addressing it, to overcoming it, and to finding success on the other side. So that's the thing I would like to put forward for you today. That's the kind of power of the Ripple. And I'm not saying because I've got superhero powers on the Ripple, Ripple is my superpower. It really is. But at the end of the day, maybe I or another member of the Ripple community or someone from my personal or professional network would be in a position to help you address that risk that you're facing in 2022. All right. Last thing about risk. I read a book last year from General Stanley McChrystal entitled Risk. It's a fantastic book. I would highly encourage anybody that hears this podcast, watches this video, get that book, watch it. Well, read it, listen to it. I listen to it on Audible. I'm going back and getting the hard copy because I'm going to re-listen to it. I'm going to go back and underline all the great things. But man, he has got some great content in there. Some stuff that I was kind of excited to see that I actually been presenting on for years about communication. So that was a reinforcement. Like, here's this really super famous general guy who's out there telling it in a really major book. And I've been like training corporations and individual organizations about the power of communication and connection and why this is important. Now I've got a reference point, right? I can go back. Hey, look, Stanley McChrystal. That dude's a Rippler, man. He is a Rippler. Let me show you why and how. And I digress. At the end of the day, whatever the risk is that you may be facing personally or professionally in 2022, highly, highly, highly recommend you get that book. And I'm going to put it out there. I'm looking for a connection to Stanley McChrystal, General McChrystal, so that I could actually interview him potentially for a future podcast. Because, man, that guy, he and I need to be friends. I'm just going to say it right now. I think that we would connect. We would really get along. And he's the kind of guy that I think I could see myself sipping some whiskey with. I'm just going to put it out there. So maybe somebody here knows him, knows somebody that knows him, knows somebody that knows somebody that knows him, who may be willing to create a ripple there. So there you go. I'm putting my ripple request out there for you. But I highly recommend his book, Risk. He's had several Team of Teams. I forget the other title for his other book, but really good. But this book was fantastic. And as we look at and address risk for 2022, it's a good read, and I think you'll get a lot out of it. So anyway, that is what I've got to report there. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thanks for watching this if you happen to be on YouTube. If you haven't, drop me a subscribe and a like. Would you do so? And if you like what you hear on this and other episodes, would you throw me a share out there to some folks that you think will benefit from getting to know the Ripple and me, Mr. Ripple, in the upcoming year? I'd greatly appreciate it. If you happen to be listening on any of the podcast platforms, it continues to amaze me where we've taken off over the last year. But that comes because so many of you have been so great at listening consistently to the podcast, whether it be just me going on and on and on like I did today, or me bringing in great guests like I just did with Lisa Cox. Got so much great feedback on that episode. It was awesome. But thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate your loyalty. I appreciate you listening. I know that we all have just not an infinite number of minutes in our day. We have a confined number of minutes in the day. And for you to spend just a little bit, 30 minutes with me, and sometimes my guests a little bit over, means the world to me. And I greatly, greatly appreciate it. So guys, go out there, do good in the world, and go ripple on. I just stopped. I don't know why I stopped. Why did I stop? I don't know. Why'd you stop? Okay, let's try that again. Guys, I want you to go out there and do good in the world. Make 2022 your year. And as always, ripple on.